Lauren Steffes, and I'm interviewing the Hartnesses on Pulaski Street. So if you guys could just introduce yourselves, that'd be great.
Charlie Hartness.
Nancy Hartness.
You go.
Oh, okay. Well, we met in 1996, sorry. It was back in the last century, at the festival, American Festival of, what's it called?
Festival of American Fiddle Tunes.
Yeah.
Port Townsend, Washington.
Yeah, so we were each there as students, and we met and we became friends. And Charlie and his wife lived in Portland, and my husband and I lived in Seattle, and we knew each other for a long time, and then well, you just want to know how we met, right?
Oh,
we won't get into the racy stuff. No, then our marriage just broke up for various reasons.
This is going prime time, yeah.
Yeah. And so then we thought, should we risk a good friendship and have a romance? But it seems to be working well, so we're glad we risked it. Even though that wasn't why the marriages broke up. We don't need to go there. But anyway, so we play music. That's how we met, and we still play music together. And so we like doing that. And your turn.
That's the story of how we met.
Do you want to tell that one?
Sure.
Okay.
So that kind of goes into why we live on Pulaski Street, but we'll back it up. Okay, so we had decided we were going to move from Portland, Oregon, where we were living together, to Athens, but we were not married yet, and we had a lot of friends in the Pacific Northwest, in Portland and Seattle. So we said, okay, we have to get married. So we called our two dearest friends that we knew we wanted to have at the wedding, and they live in Seattle, Jerry and Julie. So Nancy called Julie and said, okay, in the next 6 months, tell us some good days when you guys could come down to Portland for a wedding, because we're going to get married. And Julie said, in the next 6 months, there is one day. It is Wednesday, June 14th, 2006. That's the only day Jerry and I are free. So we said, yeah, get married on a Wednesday. Unusual, but that's what we'll do. It also happens to be Flag Day and Nancy's father, Milo's birthday. Mm-hmm. So we thought, okay, how can we do this? And we thought, we used to commute by train between Portland and Seattle to visit each other when we were getting romantically involved. And so we thought, well, we'll just invite our Seattle friends to come down on the midday train from Seattle, and we'll get our Portland friends to come to the train station, and we'll just go out onto the train platform, meet the people getting off the train, playing string band music, and then we'll go out into the flower garden in front of the train station, have a internet preacher friend of ours come over and marry us. So that's what we did.
That's what we did.
And the train station people didn't know we were coming.
Yeah, we didn't ask.
But they knew that we would often be there playing music. If I was there waiting for Nancy, I'd play my ukulele quietly or something. And so I think they thought this had all been arranged. But yeah, that's what we did. And the preacher was late, an hour.
And he was late. That made us a little anxious.
So we played music for an hour while we waited for him to show up.
We thought if he doesn't show up pretty soon, we'll all just go down to Chinatown. We'll walk the 6 blocks to Chinatown and have the lunch that we had arranged to.
And then go to the courthouse and get married.
We'll figure it out. But then he came, so.
And it worked out.
It worked out.
Yay.
Well, I went to college here 2 times during the 1970s, 70 to 74 and 76 to 78. And I always liked Athens. I'm from Macon originally. Nancy had visited here, Georgia in general and Athens in particular, because my baby brother has lived here since he came here to go to college. So she liked Athens. And we took 3 weeks off in 2006 in the winter time because I was working on this novel that I've been writing for a decade now. And we had an artist friend down here who said, stay in the art studio behind our house and work on your novel and come down and escape the winter doldrums of Portland here in Athens. So that's what we did. End of February and the first week of March. And the longer we were here, the more we just thought, well, someday it'd be nice to try to move here. Maybe we could retire here, or maybe we could figure something out, because it's too expensive to buy a house in Portland. Houses were less expensive here. And I kept yakking. And the last day that we were in town, Nancy said, I want to go down that Pulaski Street. We went down in the dark at the beginning of the trip to go to a folk art gallery opening, which used to be down at the Leathers Building. And she said, I just got to go down during the day because it's such an interesting looking street. So we're driving down Pulaski Street from town, And I said, you know, it'd be nice to have something kind of like a little mill house or a country house, but walking distance from the campus and walking distance from town. Well, kind of like that little red house on the hill there.
Aww.
And Nancy said, okay, let me take a photo of it. I'll put it in our little folder of ideas for the future, and then we can kind of just have that to refer to. And I said, well, this is a terrible camera angle. Let me pull the car down. I pulled the car down. There was a for sale by owner sign in the yard. And Nancy said, you need to call that phone number when you look at this house. And I said, absolutely not. And I did. She said, well, I'm getting out and I'm going to
I
look at
said,
the
you
windows.
have been talking about trying to move here for the last 3 weeks, and we're not going to take one more step when the house that you said was perfect just like is for sale?
Okay. So you called the number, left a message on the guy's voicemail. That night we were preparing supper, our last night in Athens, and Bruce called back and he said, is this Charlie Hartness? I said, yes. He goes, I understand you and your wife are interested in buying our house. And I said, yeah, I guess we are. But, you know, he says, well, we're having an open house this weekend. And I said, I'm so sorry. We have to leave town tomorrow to go to Macon to visit my mother. And he said, well, I'll meet you at the house at 10:30 in the morning. I'll just show it to you. So he did. And we said we'd like to buy the house even though we don't have any money with which to buy the house.
I had my checkbook, it had $94 in it.
He said, send me a check for the earnest money when you get back to Portland and we'll work out the details.
So there you go.
That's what we did. 6 months later, we were here. Never
Yeah,
looked
6
back.
months, 6 months, yes, I mean, 8 years, yesterday was the day that we actually spent the first night in the house.
First night in our house.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
October 22nd.
Our funny anniversary.
First night in the house anniversary.
And the rooms, a moving van moved our things across the country, and we drove just with a few things we didn't want to send on the moving van. And so the house is just floor to ceiling with boxes. We felt like we were in a city full of skyscrapers. It was getting dark out. We're like, oh brother, what have we done? We have too much stuff and this is too small a house for all of our stuff. And there was a knock on the front door, and I'm like, oh no. The Jehovah's Witnesses have found us already. We've been here for 2 hours. Because we knew that the people who lived here before us never used their front door. They had it completely blocked off with like a coat stand and drapes and things. Anyway, but we opened the door and it was our neighbors who we didn't know yet, and they said, welcome, welcome, here's a bag with some wine and crackers and cheese and some bottled water. It's a cocktail party in a bag and a welcome present for you, but don't open that. Come up to our house. We've been waiting 6 months to meet you. So we went up the hill to our neighbor David and Cassie's house and found out that David and Charlie grew up like 6 blocks from each other in Macon.
But different elementary school systems.
Wow.
So he went to Union School and I went to W.T. Morgan, and he went to a different high school. But he was our paper boy.
Now that you said how friendly the neighbors were the night that you moved in,
Yeah.
how has the community, how has your relationship with the Pulaski community grown since you've started living here?
It's a very tight community that has changed dramatically. There's been a lot of construction on the street, so there are definitely new families moving in here. And when we first moved here, how many kids were there in this? And when we say this neighborhood, we mostly mean Pulaski Heights and this little short stretch of Pulaski Street for sort of a block or two either way. How many kids?
Well,
2?
yeah, maybe 1. I mean, there was Perrin, who was like
Perrin,
8.
who's graduating
or
from
9.
high school this year.
Yeah.
She
And
was
then,
a just barely kid.
Yeah, and then Henry, maybe
Okay.
not. I don't
Since
know.
then,
I mean,
there have been 3 sets of twins in the neighborhood. I mean, there are kids everywhere.
there's kids everywhere.
And
so
there's dogs everywhere. There are 12 dogs on this hill. 12. 12.
and 14 houses
And-
or something. We were counting them.
And it's a neighborhood where I know people, they drive to go do activities other places, but a lot of the activities in this neighborhood, especially for families, is they put the kids in the stroller, they put the dog on the leash, and they walk down the hill or down the street. They walk down to the greenway, they go to the barbecue
They
place.
go to Ted.
So
They
it's
go to
really,
City Bread.
it's a neighborhood where people come out of their house when they see you walking by and say, hey, where are you going? Not long after we moved here, we had met one of the neighbors over on Barrow Street, we were trying to get to the store to get milk for
Like
coffee
to the Daily
the
or
next morning.
someplace,
Over to
you
the
know,
Daily
we're
on
just
Prince.
walking.
We're walking, and Chatham goes, "Hey, what are y'all doing?" We go, "Well, we're going. Oh, we were going to go get some wine, I think, or something."
Maybe that was it. I don't remember. But anyway.
Whatever. She said, it probably was wine, because she said, "Well, I've got some wine up here, and I've got some soup and some salad." She said, "Why don't you just come up and not worry about it?" Or maybe she said, "I've got milk, I'll give you some
Yeah,
milk."
that was it, I think.
So we wound up spending the whole evening at her house
Aw.
on
Yeah,
her
which
porch.
was great.
Happens all the time.
It's,
This is the kind of neighborhood where people will come down and tap on your door and say, "I need 2 eggs and a cup of sugar." And we go, "Okay, 2 eggs, cup of sugar." You come home, there's a sack of arugula hanging from your doorknob. Or there's a neighbor who leaves a loaf of bread for you, or some poppy seed cake or something like that. So it's definitely that kind of feel.
Yeah.
People look out for each other. It's a good neighborhood.
and even though there's a lot of rental houses on the street, we think that's a good thing too, because we really like the influx of new people, whether they're college students or grad students or, you know, just someone working that's just renting a house. But even those people, like, we become friendly with, maybe not as intimately as, you know, come in and have supper, but still people, we recognize their faces, we say hi, and we miss them when they've moved, even though, you know, more people will move in and they'll add an interesting element. So
Well, great. Thank you. I think we're good.
Go.
I want to move here.